Another part of manhood is Indigenous fatherhood, right? The evolving role of fatherhood. It's the father must understand the impacts of historical trauma on parenting. It's so important to understand when our trauma behaviors are playing out in our parenting styles. That's really important for us. Getting on a path to healing and living life with passion is so important because we show that to our children. Our children learn based on how we're living, not necessarily what we say, right? So the evolving role is also understanding the spirituality of parenting and being objective in healing and restoring role. I think that as fathers, we have to be objective in that. How am I restoring my role as a father? How am I evolving that as a father today? What does it mean to be an Indigenous father in 2025? There's a lot to discuss there. And then it's important for fathers to learn the basics of early childhood development and even development of teenagers and young adults. This, for me, has been pivotal as a father to understand it. What happens when I understand what's happening neurologically in the mind of a toddler when they're having a tantrum. Now that I've understood that and educated, I understand. And you take your ego out of it and you realize the child isn't getting mad at you for something personally. The child is trying to communicate something. And all they need is simply, it's quite simple. It all comes down to just giving love. Disciplining with love and giving love no matter what. Unconditional love. That's what I've learned as a father. And I've learned that raising your voice and displaying anger doesn't work, especially with the second child, right? They're really resilient. My 4-year-old is lawless. She don't care how much you raise your voice or how much you put your hand on the table. She doesn't care. She'll get mad back. So that it doesn't work with children. It makes children angrier. We foster emotional dysregulation. When we erupt, we're showing the children that's okay to act like that. You can act like that as an adult. Now we see that play out in society, right? People who never grew up because their parents never were grown up. So I always try to approach and discipline. We never make the children apologize. Never force them apologize. They'll learn to do that on their own. Instead, I comfort both children. When one hits the other, when they're fighting over something, I try to comfort both. And then they learn forgiveness and they learn to move on. So it's important for fathers to learn those basics of early childhood development. Once you understand, then you better understand how to navigate it.